Hey guys, in this video and this webinar, we're going to talk about a couple of really important terms as we continue to dive deeper and deeper into the immune system. And the two terms that we're going to discuss in this workshop is immune tolerance and immune resistance or resilience. And so we're going to kind of break those two things down because they're really, really important when we start diving deeper, like I said, into the immune system. So immune tolerance is what we're going to talk about first, and it's the concept in immunology in which the immune system appropriately reacts to the environment, right? So if you have a proper immune tolerance, you don't have a high degree of, maybe food sensitivities or chemical sensitivities, or even allergies in a lot of cases. And at the other end of the spectrum, you don't have autoimmune diseases, right? That means you have a high tolerance. And so your immune tolerance will decide to either react or not to react to a food protein, for instance, that you ingest. But if you start to lose your immune tolerance, you just start to react to lots of different food proteins or different food sensitivities, or environmental sensitivities. Another type of, which kind of leads us into another type of tolerance issue is chemical tolerance. I've had patients a lot of times say that they are very sensitive to smells and odors and things. Or they develop skin sensitivities. And basically, what that is telling me is that they've lost or they have reduced immune tolerance. They're reacting to a lot of different things. And so these are people that red lights start going off in my head. And then the third type of tolerance, so we have food tolerance, chemical tolerance, and we have autoimmune or self tolerance. And so if you have an autoimmune disease, that means that your body is recognizing yourself as an invader or as a pathogen and it's starting to attack itself. And so we would say that they have lost their self tolerance. They're not tolerating their self very well. And again, if you've been spending time in isolation, locked up at home over the last few weeks, we've all lost some self tolerance, I think, to a degree. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the immune system self tolerance, right? And so that is one of the kind of key understandings is this idea of tolerance. We would like to have a high tolerance. Okay, so that means we're not overly reacting to things that we shouldn't be reacting to. Now, the other side of the equation is immune resilience, okay? And this is our ability to deal with a pathogen, whether that be a virus or a bacteria. We're all exposed to different bacteria and viruses in our everyday lives all the time. But our ability to prevent those pathogens from really setting in and creating bad infections in us or having ongoing infections really comes down to this idea of our immune resilience. Okay. So, one of the things that's important for people to understand is that if they've started to lose their immune tolerance, and so they're reacting to a lot of things, a lot of food sensitivities, maybe a lot of chemical sensitivities, or they've moved into an autoimmune disease, and we're going to break down autoimmune diseases in one of these lectures, but not today. But if they've lost that immune tolerance, it's going to have some impact on their immune resistance or resilience as well. And so it has a tendency of lowering your immune resilience while at the same time you're reacting to everything from an immune standpoint. And so we know that people that have lost their immune tolerance, and they're constantly reacting to these different environmental things, whether it's foods or chemicals or what have you, they've they've compromised their immune resilience at the same time. And so when we start wanting to improve our immune resilience, which is a good thing, oftentimes we don't necessarily look at things that we need to do to boost the immune system, right? You would think, hey, we want to become more resilient. We want to protect ourselves, from whatever pathogen may come our way. Obviously, in today's society, we're thinking viruses, right? And so a lot of people are going to say, hey, I want to improve my resilience. And they're going to do some things that's going to try to boost the immune system, to bump it up. The problem is if you've already lost some of your tolerance and you've lost immune tolerance, the more you bump up the immune system, the more you're going to actually increase the number of intolerances that you have, right? So it kind of creates this unhealthy paradigm. And sometimes a lot of people, and I'm seeing a lot of, that's why I'm doing these classes, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff starting to trickle out of, hey, take this supplement to improve your immune system. Well, that can be a good thing, but if you've already lost immune tolerance, that may not be such a good thing for you because it actually increases those sensitivities, which actually suppresses your resilience. And so it's so counterintuitive to a lot of people. And that's why I think it's so important that we have these deep discussions. Now, if you've lost immune tolerance and you're having a lot of food sensitivities or chemical sensitivities, or an autoimmune disease or something like that, oftentimes rather than trying to improve resilience straight out of the gate, we need to try to improve or lower our intolerances, right? And so one of the easy ways to do this for a lot of people, one of the first steps we'll often look at, because it's easy, is to look at maybe adding a probiotic to help improve gut integrity, right? So that they're not getting exposed to so many things. We'll often look at cleaning up the diet a bit with them, eating more fermented foods, or perhaps increasing the plant fiber and the diversity of plant fiber. A lot of times we get stuck eating the same foods over and over and over again. And if we're losing tolerance and we're continuing to expose ourselves to the same proteins over and over again, all foods are made up of proteins, and that's what the body builds these sensitivities to, is those proteins. If we're continuing to expose ourselves to the same thing day after day after day, oftentimes if we've lost tolerance, that's what we're actually going to become more sensitive to, right? And so in the last class, we talked a little bit about inflammation and how that plays into the immune system, in that role of, we want a good balance in our inflammatory responses. Well, we also want a really good balance between our immune tolerance and our immune resistance, our resilience, excuse me. We don't want it being tipped too much one way or the other, because if we try to increase resistance too much, that oftentimes makes us less tolerant, and that starts to rise. But as we rise tolerance, it makes us less resilient. And so it's all about finding the balance. And so, like I said, sometimes the rush is, hey, let's go take this supplement to improve our immune system. Well, if you've lost tolerance, that may not be the best answer for you. So again, as we continue to dive in, I hope to address each of these questions for you. If you have specific questions, certainly email me, call me. We can set up a Zoom call, whatever you guys want to do. But I really hope that you like our channel. I hope you like this information that we're putting out. Like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube, however you're getting this information. Pass it on to your friends. I do think there's going to be some really high quality stuff coming your way. So again, just quickly to hit the bullet points, if you've lost immune tolerance, one of the first things to help improve immune resistance is let's lower some of these issues down a little bit. So maybe that's taking a probiotic, maybe that's cleaning up the diet, maybe that's changing up the diet, maybe that's adding more diversity to the diet. All really good things that you can start to do to start trying to get this balance of resilience versus tolerance back into check. Just like we talked last time about inflammation and anti-inflammation, this balance that needs to occur. And so again, hope you like the information. Like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube, pass this word out, because we're really going to keep going into depth into this stuff. So thanks for joining us.